Hello everybody, happy Saturday. It is Saturday for me. I am not live this evening, but I wanted to record this little video for you because I posted on my Instagram a couple days ago this really cool floating frame technique using the sweet strawberry bundle. Unfortunately, that bundle is so popular that it went on back order and is now not orderable because we had so many people want to get it. So I have chosen another stamp set and punch combo to show you how to create this fun floating frame technique. Before we get into that though, I just want to make sure that you're aware that you have one day left to take advantage of Saleabration. So make sure you take a screenshot of this and use your February hostess code when placing your order so that you can be entered into a draw to win even more free product. You just have to head over to stampinwithlindsayl.blogspot.com and click on Shop Now to start shopping, and then you can get some of the free Saleabration items that are available for only one more day. So we'll just get into this here to our floating frame technique, as this is what I wanted to show you this evening. So I've already taken the Butterfly Gala stamp set and I stamped a bunch of the butterfly images, and then I took the butterfly Duet punch and I punched them all out, which is what you can see here. I've then taken a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. And I've sort of laid all the butterflies down to cover the card up. I know I've got an open spot here, but I'm actually not too worried about that because that is part of the frame I'm going to cut out. Now, the trick to this frame is you'll actually find it in your pantry. A lot of people carry this. It is called press and seal sealing wrap. So I'm just going to tear off a piece here. And I just need a piece big enough for the frame. So this is way more than I need, so I'm just going to get my snips out here and I'm just going to cut it in half because I really don't need that much. So just bear with me a second. I'm going to cut this in half. Let's set that aside for now. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to just stick it on my pant leg a little bit just to get rid of some of the stickiness because I don't want it to wreck my stamped image. So I want to get rid of some of the stickiness, but I still want it to be fairly sticky. So I've just stuck it down onto my pant leg a couple of times so it's picked up some lint. And now I'm just going to carefully, oops, see I moved this one already. This is probably the hardest part. Oops. Is carefully laying down the cling wrap. Okay, so I've got a bit of a bubble here, so I'm just gonna lift it up, try to get rid of that line. Make sure I get this butterfly in there. So this is probably your trickiest part. Okay, so now I'm gonna lift this up. Oops. See, I didn't get it sticky enough. So I need to make sure it's going to pick up each butterfly. So I'm just going to push it down onto each butterfly. Okay, let's hope this one works now. Oh, it's working. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over and I'm actually going to tear off the basic white cardstock. Okay, awesome. So now I've got this like sheet of butterflies. And what I'm going to do is I am going to get my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I've got the big one out because we have to run through a bigger piece of paper. So hopefully you can see this okay. And I'm going to lay down my butterflies. And then, ooh, this is where it's going to get a little tricky too. So I'm just going to put this white piece of paper without sticking the Stampin' seal, or the press and seal to it. So I'm just going to lay it on top and I'm going to find out where I want my die approximately. So you know what, right about there looks good to me. That looks about center and it's pretty pretty straight. So I'm just going to use some washi tape to stick it down to my press and seal food wrap. And I pulled out my basic white, so it's no longer in my sandwich anymore. And then I'm just going to put my other clear plate on top and run it through. And the die I'm using is actually from the rectangular stitched framelets. It's probably one of my favorite framelit sets because the rectangles are, I think, pretty much could cut out this size, and it gives you a nice little stitch technique around the edge. Alright, so now I'm going to carefully lift my die up, and these little center butterflies, just like so. So I want to leave just this down. So now you can see I've kind of got this frame that's been created. So now I'm going to pick up my seal. Now you hear how sticky it is? This is why we add a little bit of lint to it, because we don't want it to wreck the paper that we're using. Okay, so now in order to lay this down, I'm actually going to start putting some dimensionals on these guys. So for the little butterflies, I'll use a little mini dimensional in the center of each one. And one in each. Oh no, am I going to run out of mini dimensionals? No, I've got enough. And right here I've got a little wing sticking out, so I'm going to put a mini dimensional there, if I can get it. So right there we got a mini dimensional. And this piece right here, so I'm going to need a couple. I'll put a mini one here, and on the other side I'm going to put a big dimensional, or one of our full-size dimensionals. So now I'm just going to go through, and I'm going to use a big one on each of the butterflies, the big butterflies. Oops. Just like so. Now the reason why I stamped and colored these is because the video would have been just way too long if I had you guys watch me stamp and color them all. So I'm going to put a big dimensional on this wing, and I've noticed over here I think I need another mini dimensional. So let me just find a sheet, a brand new sheet of mini dimensionals, and I'm going to put one right there, just like that. Okay, now let's have a look at this. We have to try to get this centered. So right about there is where I want it. So I'm just going to start by lifting and sticking down one butterfly at a time. See how that goes? Once I it'll go faster once you get more of them down here, because it'll hold your paper in place really well. So these ones, I'm going to take off this whole corner of dimensionals on these butterflies and just lay it flat. And then we're going to lift and take these ones off. It's kind of a tricky technique, but it's also pretty cool. It is just so neat. And I chose to do a multicolored card. That's why I kind of just colored my butterflies many different colors using the Stampin' Dimensionals. But you could even do, just pick a theme and do just those colors. There, just like that. Oh, you know what I did with this guy? Okay, so now, see how I stuck the dimensional off? So I'm just going to move this dimensional onto the wings. Just give me a second here. So I'm going to stick this kind of inside here. I'll do it on this larger wing that's sticking. There we go. Okay, so now all my butterflies should be stuck on my frame, and now I can carefully peel back my press and seal. Ooh, See, it's going to take this one with me for some reason. Oh, that's because I didn't stick this butterfly down. See, I forgot to remove a dimensional. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Now we're going to go and start peeling it. See, it looks like I didn't have enough lint on there. It did take off some of my butterfly, but it's not really noticeable. But yeah, you just want to go careful so that you don't wreck the cardstock. And I'm just sort of peeling it away slowly. I am taking little bits of butterfly, but it's really not noticeable, so I must have done a good job coloring. Okay, so I've got this tiny little flap here. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to have to cut a little tiny strip of the dimensional and put there just to hold it down. Let's keep going. This card can be a little bit time consuming, but it's so worth it once it's done. It's going to look so pretty. See, I forgot this one too. Remove the dimensional. So I'm just going to roll it back and stick it in place. There we go. And keep going. There we go. Now I can throw this out and this little flap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dimensional sheet and I'm just going to cut this little tiny piece right here. And I'm going to remove the backing on it before I stick it down. This is where nails come in handy, even if they're just little nails. And I'm going to stick it onto this little flap that was loose. There we go. Perfect. So now you've kind of got this like frame that's been punched out in the middle. Now to get rid of the butterflies that are kind of past our piece of basic white, I'm just going to go through with some scissors and cut them. Just do one at a time. There we go. Trim them so it's nice and even all the way around. This one I'm going to cut the dimensional a little bit, but not to worry. Almost done, guys. This is kind of why I didn't want to go live with this one, because I figured if I was live, you might get bored of me cutting and leave, and I don't want my friends to leave while I'm stamping. Okay, perfect. There we go. So get rid of the scraps. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to bring the scraps back in. So now I'm looking on the edge of some of my butterflies, and there's like some white space, so I might come back in and bring like the wing tip of this butterfly. So I'm going to get a dimensional, pop it on the tip of this little wing here, and I'm going to stick it down just to cover up some of this white that's around the edge, because we want it to be as full as possible. Same thing, I've got this little tiny butterfly. I'm going to put his wings in there too, so let me just get that in here. Just like so, and again, just going to flip it over and snip these extras off. So we're using as many as my little butterflies as possible. And there you go, there you have it. So now I'm just going to stamp my greeting. Let's see, how do I want it? Do I want it like this? You know what? I like it this way, I think. And I've got a greeting from the Butterfly Gala stamp set that says thank you so very much. And I'm just going to get my Memento ink pad and ink it up. Oh, and I've got ink all over my block. So I'm just going to take my chamois. This is what I love about the chamois, is you can just take it off and wipe the block off, but leave the ink on your stamp. So I'm just going to ink it up one more time without rocking it. And place my stamp right about there. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna have to be happy because that's where it goes. Okay, just clean my stamp off. Put my ink away so I don't wreck it. And then I've got a card base that I've already cut. This is just another piece of basic white cardstock that measures 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And you could add an extra piece of cardstock border if you'd like, but I think I'm just going to leave this white on white because I think it's really pretty that way. So I'm just going to adhere this to my card base, and I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal. We'll do a couple strips here, and there, and there, and there. We'll be generous with the seal. And I'm just going to line this up. There, and there you have it. How fun and gorgeous is that card? I just love this technique. It is, like I said, a little time consuming and can be tricky, but the end result, like, is just, it's so pretty, and you've got so much dimension. I hope you guys enjoyed this little ad hoc video I've created for you, and I hope you have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for watching. Happy stamping!